This is what most Americans innocently put into their bodies these days, and most alarmingly, into the bodies of their children. And it's no coincidence that Americans die earlier than Canadians or Germans or Italians or Japanese or Koreans or Australians or most any other comparable country.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the renowned environmental activist and advocate for public health, has issued a dire warning that could change the way you think about food forever. In a powerful and urgent plea, he says, "I pray all Americans to stop eating these foods." But what are these foods? Why are they so dangerous? And what can we do to protect ourselves and future generations? From hidden toxins lurking in everyday products to the shocking truths about the industrial food system, Kennedy's message is a wake-up call that demands our attention. Are you ready to uncover the truth about what's really on your plate? This is not just about food. It's about our health, our environment, and the future of our world. Join us as we dive deep into Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s urgent warning, revealing the foods he says we must avoid at all costs and the steps we can take to reclaim our health and our planet. The stakes are high, and the time to act is now.
We're having epidemics of all these chronic illnesses, autoimmune diseases, neurological diseases, allergic disease.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., environmental activist, author, and prominent member of the Kennedy family, has long been a vocal advocate for public health, environmental protection, and food safety. In recent years, he has made headlines with his impassioned pleas for Americans to reconsider their dietary choices, particularly when it comes to processed foods, genetically modified organisms, GMOs, and products laden with pesticides and chemicals. His message is clear: the foods we consume are directly linked to our health, the health of our planet, and the future of our society. In a world where chronic diseases are on the rise and environmental degradation is accelerating, Kennedy's call to action is both timely and urgent. This detailed exploration delves into Kennedy's warnings about the dangers of certain foods, the science behind his claims, and the broader implications for public health and the environment. By examining his arguments, we can better understand why he believes these foods are harmful and what steps we can take to protect ourselves and future generations. Before diving into Kennedy's dietary warnings, it's important to understand the man behind the message. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the son of former U.S. Attorney General and Senator Robert F. Kennedy and the nephew of President John F. Kennedy. Born into one of America's most influential political families, Kennedy has carved out his own path as an environmental lawyer, activist, and author. He is the founder of the Waterkeeper Alliance, an organization dedicated to protecting waterways worldwide, and has been a leading voice in the fight against pollution, corporate greed, and environmental injustice. Kennedy's work has often placed him at the intersection of public health and environmental advocacy. He has been a vocal critic of the pharmaceutical industry, vaccine safety, and the use of harmful chemicals in agriculture. His focus on food safety is a natural extension of his broader mission to protect human health and the environment from corporate exploitation and negligence. In his speeches, interviews, and writings, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has identified several categories of foods that he believes pose significant risks to human health and the environment. These include processed foods are a staple of the modern American diet, but Kennedy argues that they are a leading contributor to the nation's health crisis. These foods are often high in sugar, salt, unhealthy fats, and artificial additives, all of which have been linked to obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and other chronic conditions. Kennedy emphasizes that the convenience of processed foods comes at a steep cost to our health. Kennedy has been a vocal critic of GMOs, particularly crops like corn, soy, and cotton, that have been genetically engineered to resist pests and herbicides. He argues that the long-term health effects of consuming GMOs are not fully understood, and that their widespread use has led to increased pesticide use, environmental harm, and the loss of biodiversity. Kennedy has repeatedly warned about the dangers of pesticides and herbicides, such as glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup, which are commonly used in conventional agriculture. He points to studies linking these chemicals to cancer, hormonal disruptions, and other health problems, as well as their devastating impact on ecosystems and wildlife. Kennedy has also raised concerns about the industrial farming practices used to produce much of the meat and dairy consumed in the United States. He highlights the use of antibiotics, growth hormones, and inhumane conditions in factory farms, all of which he believes contribute to antibiotic resistance, environmental pollution, and poor animal welfare. Kennedy has singled out sugary beverages and snacks as major contributors to the obesity epidemic and related health issues. He argues that the food industry's aggressive marketing of these products, particularly to children, is unethical and harmful to public health. Kennedy's warnings are not without scientific backing. A growing body of research supports his concerns about the health and environmental impacts of the foods he warns against. Here's a closer look at the evidence. Numerous studies have linked the consumption of processed foods to a range of chronic diseases. For example, a 2019 study published in the BMJ found that ultra-processed foods are associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and all-cause mortality. Kennedy argues that the food industry's reliance on cheap, unhealthy ingredients is driving these health crises. While the scientific consensus is that GMOs are safe for human consumption, Kennedy and other critics point to studies suggesting potential risks. For instance, a 2012 study published in Food and Chemical Toxicology claimed that rats fed genetically modified corn developed tumors and organ damage. Although the study was later retracted due to methodological flaws, it sparked widespread debate about the safety of GMOs. The health risks of pesticides and herbicides are well documented. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, has classified glyphosate as a probable human carcinogen, and studies have linked it to non-Hodgkin lymphoma and other cancers. Kennedy has also highlighted the environmental impact of these chemicals, including their role in the decline of pollinators like bees. The overuse of antibiotics in factory farming is a major contributor to the global crisis of antibiotic resistance. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, antibiotic-resistant infections could kill 10 million people annually by 2050 if current trends continue. Kennedy argues that the industrial farming system prioritizes profits over public health and animal welfare. The link between sugary beverages and obesity is well established. A 2015 study published in The Lancet found that sugary drinks are a major contributor to the global obesity epidemic, particularly among children. Kennedy has called for stricter regulations on the marketing and sale of these products. Kennedy's warnings about these foods are not just about individual health, they are about the health of our society and our planet. He argues that the industrialized food system is unsustainable and that its reliance on harmful practices is driving environmental degradation, climate change, and social inequality. For example, the widespread use of pesticides and GMOs has led to the loss of biodiversity, soil degradation, and water pollution, while the production of factory-farmed meat and dairy is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. Kennedy also highlights the ethical implications of our food choices. He believes that the industrialized food system exploits workers, harms animals, and prioritizes corporate profits over public health. By choosing to support sustainable, ethical food systems, he argues, we can create a healthier, more just world. Kennedy's message is not just a warning, it's a call to action. He urges Americans to take control of their health and their food choices by. Kennedy advocated for a diet based on whole, unprocessed foods, such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. These foods are not only healthier, but also more environmentally sustainable. Kennedy encourages consumers to choose organic and non-GMO products whenever possible. By supporting organic farming, we can reduce our exposure to harmful chemicals and promote sustainable agriculture. Kennedy believes that local, sustainable farming practices are key to creating a healthier food system. By buying from local farmers and supporting regenerative agriculture, we can reduce our environmental impact and build stronger communities. Kennedy calls for stricter regulations on the food industry, including bans on harmful pesticides, limits on antibiotic use in farming, and clearer labeling of GMOs and processed foods. He believes that government action is essential to protecting public health and the environment. Finally, Kennedy emphasizes the importance of spreading awareness about the dangers of these foods and the benefits of healthier alternatives. By educating ourselves and others, we can create a movement for change. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s urgent plea for Americans to rethink their diets is more than just a warning. It's a rallying cry for change. His message underscores a profound truth. The foods we consume are not just a matter of personal choice. They are deeply intertwined with the health of our communities, the sustainability of our planet, and the future of our society. By shining a light on the dangers of processed foods, GMOs, pesticides, factory farming, and sugary products, Kennedy has ignited a crucial conversation about the power of food to heal or harm. The evidence is clear. The industrialized food system, driven by profit and convenience, has prioritized quantity over quality, leaving a trail of health crises and environmental devastation in its wake. From the rise of chronic diseases like obesity, diabetes, and cancer, to the alarming decline of pollinators and the contamination of our water and soil, the consequences of our current food system are impossible to ignore. Kennedy's warnings are not just about avoiding harmful foods. They are about reclaiming control over our health and our future. But this is not a story of despair. It is a story of hope and empowerment. Each of us has the power to make a difference, starting with the choices we make every day. By choosing whole, unprocessed foods, supporting organic and sustainable farming practices, and advocating for policies that prioritize public health and environmental protection, we can create a food system that nourishes both people and the planet. Kennedy's call to action is a reminder that change begins with awareness. It begins with asking questions about where our food comes from, how it is produced, and what impact it has on our bodies and the world around us. It begins with demanding transparency from food companies and holding policymakers accountable for creating a healthier, more equitable food system. And it begins with each of us taking responsibility for the choices we make and the legacy we leave behind. The stakes could not be higher. As we face the dual crises of climate change and public health, the way we produce and consume food will play a pivotal role in shaping the future. By heeding Kennedy's warnings and taking action, we can build a world where food is a source of health, not harm, where farming practices restore rather than deplete the earth, and where future generations can thrive in a cleaner, greener, and more just society. So the next time you sit down to a meal, remember, the power to create change is on your plate. Let Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s message inspire you to make choices that honor your health, protect the planet, and pave the way for a brighter future. The time to act is now, and it starts with you. Don't miss out on the latest revelations and groundbreaking insights. Subscribe to our YouTube channel now and unlock a world of uncensored truth. Hit that like button and share with your network to spread the awakening. Together, let's shatter the veil of ignorance and forge a brighter future.